Bro, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, this is one of the most feral days we've had, dude.
What is like, what do you even mean by feral?
Like, you're kind of feral.
How am I feral?
These girls are in nearly 2 hours. These two girls are 2 hours late.
My friend died.
Yeah, if you could just like have any type of sympathy, that would be amazing. But what do you mean by feral?
Why don't you just Google what feral means?
No, but I'd like you to elaborate it in this
I think
context.
you can just Google it.
No, I think in this context,
I
think in this context, it's important for you to elaborate on feral.
We had 2 no-shows. We had 2 flakes.
And
Madison's
that makes
not
me
here.
feral?
People late, but we here.
Yeah, you've been feral. You have an attitude.
So feral means attitude? I don't know. Like, I feel like if you look that up, that's not what it's going to say.
Why don't you Google it?
Why don't you Google it?
Sassy.
It's a sassy man apocalypse, right?
That's what I said. That's what I said earlier. 100%.
I know that most of you have moved through your lives in a very sort of pampered way because of the female privilege that you all have, but
Sure.
I tend to lean on this. Yo, shut the fuck up. You don't need to be fucking being disrespectful.
I didn't say a single word.
Why don't you repeat the gesture you were just making? Is that not disrespectful?
I just think it's funny.
You think it's funny?
I think you've said a lot of disrespectful things.
Give me an
so-
example.
I don't know, just like completely interrogating her friend's death, also just ignoring it at the same time. Like,
How did I ignore it?
she would speak on it, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, moving on to the next person. But then you'd also be like, how did they
Literally
die?
never said
like,
that.
blah, blah, blah.
By the way, this is a panel show, so yeah, she said her piece. I moved it on. I'm the host of the show. I will move things on whenever I like to.
You do that.
I guess feral,
Holy
in my
fuck,
opinion.
bro, this chick's a...
I think
you got
that
a
feral
bad fucking
podcast.
attitude.
This is gonna get you
Horrible.
more views though. Like if I'm being completely honest, like not on any disrespectful shit. Like honestly, if you have more beef like that, if you want to get a reaction out of someone, which as a
You're smart.
podcast host, that's what you're trying.
Honestly,
to
I'm
do,
helping
obviously.
you.
100%.
Yeah, no, but there's a... It's cool if you can have an actual... I prefer to actually have back and forth over, you know, actual conversation topics instead of somebody
You think just asking girls like, oh, what's your situation? What's your relationship? What's your relationship is back and forth? What we were doing was back and forth. You just asking, what's your body count? What's your blah, blah, blah?
How
What's
many
your blah, blah, blah?
subscribers does your podcast have?
Girl, I don't have a fucking podcast.
How many...
I
Okay.
don't, like, do
So
you
you
think
don't
numbers
know-
matter?
If you're trying
Lebron
to lecture
donated
me over the
$69.
how I can make a successful
Kick the blue
podcast,
sweater chick out
yeah, it
now
does
and the
fuck
I'm
me
just
up.
saying you want back and
softball
forth. You're
player.
not doing back and
Prove
forth.
that your friend died. If
We're
my
lit-
friend died, I would not be on
This
there.
one's
I would be
fucking
drinking and listening to Creed.
Can I answer that?
Kick them.
She wasn't
Bang
even
the
gonna come.
gavel.
Actually, can I answer that?
I told her to come.
I had a commitment. She told me to come, and I was late, which I DM'd the podcast and asked if I should still come because I knew it was disrespectful to be late. But because I had a commitment,
What time was the funeral?
It was like 10 a.m. And I live 2 hours away from here.
You're in LA, right? Yeah.
I'm like Calabasas.
Hollywood, Calabasas. I just moved back to Hollywood.
So I guess where I'm a little confused, you would have had to leave around 2 p.m. You didn't message our page until 3:18. You wrote, apologies. Me and Josie are running very late. I was at my friend's funeral this morning.
Yes, at 10 a.m.
I've been to funerals.
Not the day after, though. Me neither. That's why I didn't know what was going on. It
Right.
was very
So, but
sudden.
I understand that you had this last minute thing come up. But, you know, given that you had a predetermined plan to be here, one, you could have given us a bit more notice. You would have known at 2
I didn't
p.m.
have notice that my friend died.
No, but
I
you
didn't
went
have
to the
notice.
funeral.
I went to the funeral to
At
be
10
respectful.
at 10 a.m.
Is there something wrong with that?
No,
Holy
there's-
fuck, dude,
Would
she's
you-
a human
no, like,
being.
no, genuinely,
She's
would
a
you-
human being.
Okay,
If your
but-
friend, no, hear me out. Genuinely, like, please.
If I had agreed to be somewhere and something came up, I would have just done the courteous thing and let them know, hey, sorry, I'm going to be running late as soon as I found out.
No, yeah, it was a very rough morning. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
rough night for me.
Okay.
I'm not. That it was just.
That's
it was
fine.
sudden.
And
so if
I have
you,
empathy for that. I'm sorry to hear
No,
about
I
your
appreciate
No,
friend.
you
that.
do not.
Really not.
I literally just said it. Shut the fuck up. So
Okay, do not speak to me like that.
you're the one with the fucking attitude.
I'm just saying you
I'm-
don't have fucking empathy.
This is speaking of empathy. This is that
She has something to
famous-
say.
may I?
Go ahead.
Thank you. If you had a friend's funeral that happened very suddenly, which I don't.
I would if
Would you
I,
show up to the
if-
funeral?
He's saying he would have
So,
told. He would have
so
told.
if
told
I had a
him
doctor's
earlier.
appointment, if I had a doctor's appointment at 5 p.m. and something came up and I had to cancel it, I would have called as soon as possible and just done the courteous
normally
thing. Hold
I am.
on, done the courteous thing, and just said, taken 30 seconds, hey, I'm very sorry, something came up, I'm not going to be able to make it. That's it.
No, yeah, that would have been the courteous thing to do. But
So you admit
that you were up all
that
night.
you aired
You were
here.
crying all night. You were running around doing stuff, going to the funeral. You weren't even sure if you really wanted to come because of that. You're calling me like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, let's just go if you feel up to it. And she was like, halfway, yeah, I do. Halfway, I don't. And she was kind of like, oh, I kind of don't. And I told her, I was like, well, I already got ready. Like, let's,
Well,
like, if you want to go,
yeah.
let's go. So then we ended up going. We were late. Yeah, but I mean, this girl was freaking Hurricane Sandy, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm not saying that it was courteous. I definitely could have done more. And I'm a very punctual and on-time person. I'm a student. I have worked 2 jobs. I have a freaking studio internship. Like, I'm a very punctual person. I have a very busy schedule that I have to manage because I'm very focused on my education and making money. So I do call ahead. When I'm late to work, I call ahead. But today, this specific thing, this was so sudden, this hurt me so bad that this was like the last of my worries. And I know that that's not
Yeah.
respectful, that's not courteous, but courtesy wasn't on my mind. And I can
Yeah.
admit that's not the right thing necessarily, and I apologize for that. And I'm sorry that we were late. and
Girl,
I'm sorry
you
to all
do
of
not
you
need.
that we
I'm
were
sorry.
late.
Your friend passes away yesterday. What's your name again, Brian? Your friend passes away yesterday, Brian. Is the first thing you're gonna do when you find out your friend passes away and be like, oh my God, whatever podcast, I'm so sorry I can't make it in. Like, no.
it's not the first thing I'm going to do. However, I
See, and it
will-
wasn't the
no,
first
hey,
thing
shut
you
the
are a
fuck
bit
up. Let me
older,
finish.
though.
If you're going to
Can
ask
you
me
stop
questions-
saying that
no,
to me?
you keep interrupting. You've been rude this entire fucking time. I'm matching your energy. If I'm speaking,
I think I
stop
spoke
interrupting. You
first.
asked me a question. You asked me a question. I was responding to your question. Do you understand? So if I'm going to be responding to your
ahead.
question, you need to allow me to respond instead of just fucking bulldozing and refusing to let me fully answer the question. So, yes, if something catastrophic happened,
Oh my God.
still
Lulu
gotta fucking
donated
change this.
$69. Perfect example of females only being able to see when they've been disrespected, but don't take accountability when they disrespect others. Typical pampered my feelings more important than yours.
I mean, debunked.
So
'cause
hold
I
on,
just
I'll answer her
apologized.
question. So yes, if I became aware of, I suppose, would you consider this a dear friend or just an acquaintance?
He was a dear friend.
Dear friend. Okay, you known him for a year? Okay. So if it was a guy who I knew for a year and he was a dear friend and I found out, I would obviously be upset. I would be distraught and I would prioritize. Okay, can I make it to the funeral? If I had any plans for that day that required me to clear my schedule, I would have done the courteous thing because 2 things can coexist at the same time. You can be frantic and moving around when it comes to, okay, funeral plans, and you can also realize, well, I told these people I have a commitment. I don't know if this is just me. I don't know if this is just, I'm crazy for trying to be respectful of other people's time, even if I'm going through some crazy shit. I would just do the courteous thing and just reach out and say, hey, something came up. I'm going to be really late. I'm going to try to give them as much advance notice as possible.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
Maybe some people don't operate that way. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little younger than you, and I also feel like, she's 19. I don't know how old you're, like 30.
40 maybe.
But I'm,
God, you're a fucking bitch. You know that? What's your fucking problem?
I don't know.
Yeah.
so I just feel like,
I'm going to have to kick her. I probably.
Mexicana, esta peras no vale
I can't
nada.
read that.
Sin
Para la
embargo.
chica mexicana estas peras no valen nada. Sin embargo, me encantan los tacos. Okay, fuck you. Y las mujeres mexicanas. Casi miente Brian patea la asada de la usada azul del pana oro ahora. He was speaking like gibberish, literally, and
Yeah.
he's saying I love tacos and Mexican chicks. Okay.
As you
me
should.
too.
Yeah.
The way you're conducting yourself right now, the way you're conducting yourself with me, have you ever conducted yourself this way with the guy you claim was mentally abusive towards you? Did you ever conduct yourself that way towards him?
we're not going there.
I don't think we're gonna.
Because
go
I
there.
think it's perhaps you who's the abusive one.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really think you know me at all. Or
Well, it's
know-
interesting. You're making quite a lot of judgments and knee-jerk assessments about me.
I'm actually
But
not. I just think
you've
you're
literally
kind of like
done
a
it
dick.
multiple times.
I haven't made
Cool.
any.
So okay. Cool.
I just responded
I'm a dick.
to
You're
you.
a bitch.
I
Cool.
just
Do you agree?
You've called me a bitch multiple times. Have I
Yeah.
given a single no?
And you've called me an asshole multiple times.
And
before-
you've given many
before-
fucks, man. You walked off the fucking stage, so
I had to fix the camera angles.
yeah.
Holy fuck, bro. Do you have a question? What's your relationship like with your parents?
With my parents, yeah, I knew that one was coming. It's great. I love both my parents.
They still together?
No.
Okay. What's your relationship like with your father?
I don't feel like I need to tell you any of this.
I'm just curious.
I'm just not going to tell you.
You're just not going to answer the question?
Correct. Plead the fifth. I know it's troubling.
I'm pretty sure you just came on intentionally just to troll.
I don't know. I was like in the road and you guys just approached me, so I didn't really come on here. You guys kind of asked me to come on, so.
Yeah, that's right. But
Yeah.
you've kind of come on with like a very nasty attitude.
Not really. I just think you kind of
Yeah.
ask ridiculous questions. You
Give
ask
me-
like dumb questions. And I know they all agree.
You agree?
No.
You
no.
agree?
I think
You agree?
he's been doing this for a long time. He knows how to get views.
Yeah, I think he's smart, and I think he's just kind of picking at certain things.
Exactly.
And
I think
I'm not picking
Exactly.
at. I'm literally asking you guys about your dating history. It's
yeah,
a
it's
dating
not that
show.
that you're picking at.
It's the questions I'm asking are totally contextual.
Yeah, we're not saying anything, or I'm not saying anything about that, but I'm more like just picking at the, you know,
Yeah.
poking the bear, man.
Well, I mean, it depends. That's
Is she
honestly
poking the
his
bear back?
for that.
It's definitely both ways.
Yeah, you're poking the bear, I'm poking the bear back. Like, what's the problem with that?
I'm not poking the bear. I'm asking legitimate questions.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you're a guest.
But you were
that
asking
was
her like
brought
her
onto this
relationship with her
show.
father and like
You're
all
asking me
that.
about-
That kind of
ask-
what
could
did
be
you say
offensive.
before? Oh my God.
You're trying to
But
go
then
into
again,
my
it's
not out of
like
the blue.
relationship. You're asking who was the abuser, what kind of abuse, like what kind of fucking human asks somebody that? I wouldn't even ask my like closest friend that.
You're the one who brought up abuse.
You're the
You
one who
brought it up.
asked me why
Yeah, it's fair
we
game.
weren't together anymore. I said it was a mentally abusive relationship. You're like, oh, what kind of abuse? Did he hit you? Blah, 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 blah. Like, who the fuck asks that?
That's not how I framed it.
You said, did he hit
Yeah,
you? Same fucking question.
That's literally not what I said. I asked if it was physically abusive.
That's the same thing. Physically abusive, did he hit you? That's the same thing.
No, it's not. The words are literally different.
Oh my God.
You think you don't think it's fair game to ask a question?
I just feel like the questions you ask them for a very specific reason. And I think you're
course.
strategic about what you're doing.
Of course.
And I respect it. I know what you're doing. And I think you're doing.
What am I doing?
I think you're good at it.
What am I doing?
You're
I
just
don't-
trying to get some content. And I respect that. But I'm just not
I'm
going to give
literally
you that.
asking you guys questions.
Okay. So continue asking your questions.
Well, I mean, the questions technically weren't covered in what we were DM'd with the question rack, so I think that
Yeah.
caught some of us off guard. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
What question? I don't even know what you're referencing now.
Like,
I'm just gonna move
questioning,
it on.
like,
just
what's the
moving
relationship
on.
with my father?
What's the deal with my
That-
friend's death? It's sus to have a funeral. I know it sounds sus, but that's like,
like,
that's-
oh, well, your friend passed at 2. You should have been here at 4. Like, that's fucking weird. I know that might not be exactly what it was, but you were questioning why she wasn't here when her friend passed yesterday.
Can I say something?
Like, hello?
Go ahead.
Let's just say he was your boss and you had to be at work and someone died and you decided to not show up. If you just say last minute, oh, well, sorry, I had a funeral, they would expect you. It's kind of the same thing. It's if you're expected to be somewhere. I mean, if someone died and I had to go to work, the first thing I would do is call out of work because I
didn't
don't
even know- I didn't
don't
know
want
what was going
to
on.
one lose the respect of my employer, my coworkers. I don't want to leave that shift to fall on someone else. It's
oh,
just
not
like,
at all. But this is a shift.
But
This
it's
is
not like your
a
mind just
team
goes
kinda
blank when
thing.
those things happen. Like
That's exactly what happens when you have diagnosed PTSD.
I mean, I've
That's
definitely
exactly
been
what
in
happens.
situations where I was super frantic and like things were going
Like I was
crazy.
like
and
not
I-
okay,
I
and I'm
couldn't
okay
think
most
right.
of the time.
And
I'm
what
not
you're
saying
saying
that's
is
what
valid as
happened.
well.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
you're
but
saying is valid.
I mean, it's
I
a
know
commitment
what
to make.
happened
Like
is
I am in the
genuinely-
wrong. I can admit that.
And her friend did die, and I mean, to like elaborate a little bit on it, I guess, her friend is an artist who gave her a lot of like placements and things like that. So that's why she's really distraught about him passing, because it's not like this person was just, I mean, it was more than really a friend. It was kind of a business relationship you guys had as well, from what I understand at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was.
But you're not really
Both,
speaking
yeah.
I
on
mean,
that,
all we're
but-
saying is if he, everyone feels bad, of course, if it did happen. It's just like he's just saying, hey, it would have felt better if you would have been like, look, I'm really sorry. I should have texted you
Yeah,
or
she
said
did
something
apologize.
sooner.
That's what I
She
said.
It was
No, I
wrong of me.
apologize.
to him. So, and I'm saying
And I
like she's
think that's what he was
19.
looking
Like
for.
I don't know if you can really Not that she's probably one of the most mature 19-year-olds I know, but
No, I do really
And
know.
it's interesting,
just kinda
like answering for her too.
Yeah, well, because I feel you guys are attacking her. So, and he's and like, I just don't like seeing that, and I don't feel like she knows how to respond to all the questions properly sometimes. And I'm not saying like you're not
No, I don't.
intelligent.
No, I don't.
But I know
Yeah.
you haven't
Well,
slept
putting on the
last
spot
night.
is like I didn't
Yeah,
sleep a
and I
single
also know you
hour.
haven't slept at all. I know what's going on with you, so that's why I feel entitled to speak on it a little bit.
You also have to understand on this topic is that we've probably had on over 1,000 guests. Every single week we do shows Sunday, Tuesday. Mind you, I believe, I don't recall the precise details. We've had you scheduled previously.
And my car blew out. My
And
transmission
you've-
blew out.
If I recall correctly, you let us know like 2 hours before the show.
Because my car transmission blew out when I was on the road.
But so you understand, and we've had a couple girls here who've been on the show before. They've seen it firsthand. Some people have legitimate excuses. A lot of the girls who come on the show, they lie.
Definitely.
They make up some bullshit. For example, we've had girls who've said, my car, I had a car issue, broke down, and they'll send us a photo even, and it's local here. They'll send us. We had this couple weeks ago. It was in the photo. It was a cloudy day. Now I live in the same area. It was clear skies and sunny the whole day. Here's my car broken down from today. So people will lie. We've had girls who say, oh, I'm sick. Oh, something happened. I can't make it. And then we look at their Instagram later. They're at the club. They're at the bar. They're on a boat. They're on a yacht. A lot of people lie, okay?
No, they do lie.
I'm not saying you're lying. I actually believe you.
I don't blame you for
I actually believe you.
assuming that.
But a lot of people are liars. They'll come up with, oh, my dog ate my homework type shit. So I am skeptical in general when people choose to flake on plans. Now, can be dating related. It can be professionally related. People tend to lie.
Well,
People lie
especially when you're put on the
frequently.
spot
Definitely.
like this, because you're put on the spot. And on the spot right now, I'm driving my dad's Chevy Equinox. I drive a 2016 Chevrolet.
I'm not
Full.
saying
Yeah,
you're lying.
no, I'm just saying. No, I know you're not
I'm
attacking
giving
me.
you
I'm
the
just,
reason
like,
for
giving an
why
example.
I'm skeptical when people come up with, oh, here's why I'm late. Here's why I can't make
No,
it.
he's saying people do it all the time.
No,
Like, people
I'd
lie all the
imagine
time,
that.
which
That's
we had
why I
two
was
other girls
so.
no show today.
No, I understand. That's why I was so like, I need to get here today because I failed to that commitment last time because some like crazy it was like the stupidest shit. Like I started the car and it wouldn't go forward because the transmission blew and it's literally still in the shop. Like it's just like I don't know. I need to get like a rabbit's foot or something. But like I don't know.
So it's all good. We're gonna keep things moving.